Hey guys, this is Alex, and welcome back to the Two Dudes, Brews, and Reviews podcast. On today's episode, Austin and I are looking at the 2019 romantic comedy, psychological horror film, The Lighthouse, starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. If you're here for us to decipher the meaning behind the symbolism in this movie, we might just disappoint you. However, we had a lot of fun trying to make sense of it ourselves. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends about us. With that being said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Getter, dude, what's up?
I know I say this all the fucking time. It feels like a really long time since we've done this.
That is the nature of things when it comes to this podcast. I don't know why, but it always seems like we've never done this before for the first 10 minutes. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. I feel like maybe this one feels like it's been longer because the last 2 weeks have been a little more eventful than they usually are.
Yeah, we both went on vacation.
Yeah, sort of. Like a short little road trip, I would say.
The 4th of July trips.
We didn't go together, but we were both gone at the exact same time.
Oops, sorry.
No, you're right.
Busting my bottle here.
Yeah, we're cracking the beers on the air this time. So tell us about your trip, man. Where'd you go?
I went to the Lake Cumberland, and it was a good time. I haven't been down there in a couple of years, so...
Is that in Kentucky?
Yes.
Okay. I've never been there before.
It's like just short of a 3-hour drive. So it's not too bad. Drive back's actually easier than it is getting there, in my opinion.
Is it like a different route or something?
Getting through Ohio is the worst part, because then it just opens up into fucking Kentucky, like when it's just like grass and God-fearing people with "you're going to hell" signs everywhere. So it's a little bit, it's a nice comforting drive then on there.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I haven't been through Kentucky in a while, but that sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was 4th of July festivities, so we got good and hammered. I broke my record for most drinks. I had 20 drinks that day. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, I usually don't start drinking before 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so I definitely got a good start,
Is that where you were doing, cracking them at
11:30.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was great.
Sounds kind of awesome.
Bro, there was this guy. We were on the water. This guy on a Sea-Doo. We were in this cove. It's called Party Cove. And there's this guy on a Sea-Doo. He is smoking some quality marijuana, and it is just wafting in my face. And he offers it to me, and I'm like, no, it's all good, man. I would, but I'm here with the fam. And that's just not waters I want to I don't want to maneuver through that shit in uncomfortable territory.
Was this the same day that you had
20 drinks?
Oh,
yes.
man.
So I was already 4 or 5 beers in. Dude, if I would have smoked, I would have been out by 8 p.m. that day. So,
yeah, you wouldn't have been able to break that record of yours.
Yeah, it was dude, this guy had the craziest fucking tattoos. He had, imagine, 3/4 view of a rooster spread eagle, wings open, wingspan, and was pouring hot sauce, and this was on his back. This is one of the first things I noticed. He had other tattoos, but the other one that stood out was he had the picture from the Goofy movie. He had one of Max's friends, the guy that does the nachos and cheese whiz type shit.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And he had that on his fucking calf. In my drunken state, I was like, bro, that's so fucking cool, bro. But now I'm like, that guy walks around with that shit all the time.
He's gonna have to explain that to his grandkids one day.
That shit was wild. I don't know if that guy's having grandkids, to be 100% honest with you, brother.
That's true. Yeah, you never know.
He was a cool dude though. He was smoking some medical shit though, because it looked like some nice hefty pre-rolls.
Okay.
So that's about the highlight of my trip though.
Did you see any fireworks while you were there?
Yeah, we did. That night, it was July 3rd. Sorry.
Okay.
Days blended together down there. I could blow a .08 at any point in the day, I'm sure. So it was tough. We went out on a buddy's boat, not our boat, and it ended up breaking down. So we had to call Marine Assist at 1 a.m. and it was fucking terrible. Well, it was terrible for the person's boat and them and their money. But for us, we just sat in a drunken state, and it was the clearest fucking night that you could ask for, and all we did was just look up at the stars while we were getting towed at 2 miles an hour. And that was really nice, actually. It was fun for us, but not good for the boat owner.
Oh, I'm sure. That sounds like a blessing in disguise, kind of.
It was fucking awesome, dude. Like, I was just imagining, like, if we were out west, like, if it was just a little bit darker, a little less light pollution, I'd have been able to see, like a little bit of, like, the background radiation-looking shit from, like, the Milky Way and shit. It was really cool.
Are you going to try and break your record for drinks tonight?
No. There ain't no way. Hell, I don't even think we have enough drinks for...
We can break into the...
tequila.
We got tequila, vodka, whiskey.
Shit, yeah, we do.
Mix it all and have a hell of a morning tomorrow.
Enough about me. Tell me about your trip to Michigan, correct?
Yeah. So me and my wife went to Ann Arbor, which is only probably about 3.5 hours away from like the Cincinnati area that we live in. Mm-hmm. We didn't have like any like big plans when we went down there. We just stayed in a hotel, and we went only on the strength of knowing that there's a lot of like, not like national parks, but like trails and stuff to go to, like a lot of like lakes and bodies of water. So the whole time we were there, we pretty much just like walked around the town, which is like, it's a campus city. So like, it's very like a lot of bars and like cool restaurants. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like dispensaries and stuff up there. And yeah, we didn't really do anything exciting. We just kind of like relaxed for a few days.
Hey, relaxing is exciting, bro.
Yeah.
So
I went to a brewery called Holmes.
And
I only had one drink when I was there, and of course, like half their menu was IPAs, which I've kind of been talking about lately. I'm really sick of IPAs.
Yeah,
I drank one when I was there, and it was good.
We both are tired of IPAs.
Yeah, well, every other fucking beer is an IPA now.
It's a double, triple, quadruple, imperial hoppy, fucking brew hazy shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
The only IPA I look forward to drinking is Star Crusher.
And they haven't made that this year yet.
Fuck. What are they waiting for?
I don't know.
Does it come around the fall?
It usually comes out during the summer.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I thought last time we had it was in the summer. I think it was like this time last year, I thought.
It was.
Yeah. Fuck.
That's when we were going to like Fig Leaf kind of semi-frequently.
Yeah, like once every month or two. Mm-hmm. Fuck, dude. We got to go back.
Well, once they make that beer, we'll go back.
Exactly. I'm going to make a phone call after the podcast.
Yeah.
I've tried this beer. You won't be surprised.
I won't be surprised.
It tastes like it's really clean for a Belgian. It's kind of flat. Kind of disappointed. Maybe I'll like it the more I'll drink it, but
it's not as much like spiciness that we usually get.
We're spoiled by Finn Du Monde.
One of the best beers of all time, probably.
It may be the best beer I've ever drank.
We didn't say what this was.
It's a tripel.
It's made by New Belgium. I've had other beers from them before, like Flat Tire and stuff. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. They're okay.
It's not bad. Actually, the second drink is a lot better than the first.
We did just get done drinking
Miller High Life.
Miller High Life. So,
yeah, dude. We both been on vacation. That was fun.
My birthday was actually just a couple days ago.
Yes,
and that was an interesting night.
Yeah, didn't you? You ended up on stage at a drag show.
Yes.
Elaborate, please.
So like the night started off pretty normal enough. Like we went to this place called Topgolf, which I think they have others in other states. Mm-hmm. It's not like exclusive to Ohio or anything. Mm-hmm. Eventually, our buddy Andrew hit me up, and he said that he was out and he was going to this gay bar. And I've never been to one before. Andrew's like a straight guy, but he loves going to gay bars for some reason. I don't get like why specifically it's a thing he likes to do. You know, whatever, no judgment.
That's a question we'll have to ask him sometime.
I had a good time when I went, and like everybody was really nice there.
Sounds about right.
Like sometimes you go to like a bar and there might be kind of like a hostile kind of like vibe. Like sometimes,
like if you want to fight, we can.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I don't know, like flashing their like masculinity or something, but that wasn't the case here. One of the people that we were with stooged me off and told the host of the drag night that it was my birthday and that I wanted to be a drag queen. And so they pulled me on stage and I just kind of accepted it. Like I was like, okay, this is happening. And they asked me what my drag name would be. And off the top of my head, I said, Lord Squirm.
What the fuck? Oh, that's hilarious. You didn't have to tape your dick up or anything, did you?
No, I didn't have to do anything. Okay. Like right, I was in my like normal street clothes, and they gave me a free shot because it was my birthday.
Hey, fuck so, yeah. What did you drink for your shot?
It was something they just handed to me.
But you didn't know what it was?
No idea. It tasted like pineapple juice with
okay. So it was like kind of like a mixed.
It probably had rum in it or something, to be honest.
Nice.
But that was my birthday, and it's one I probably will never forget.
That's fucking funny. We have an interesting movie to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Help me to recollect. What are we watching?
Well, Austin, you recommended the 2019 Robert Eggers film, The Lighthouse.
I did.
Did I say the right year? 2019?
Yeah.
Is that when it came out?
Yeah.
It's a film that I've been wanting to see since it came out, and I've been putting off for the longest time. So, yeah, I've finally seen it.
I don't even like thrillers or scary movies, like anything that gives me any sort of uncomfortable feeling. This is one of the few films that I've seen though that I can that are like psychological horror that I can digest. Mm-hmm. I refuse to watch Midsommar. I refuse.
Really? That's like a one that's on my watch list right now.
I can't. I refuse to do culty shit. That shit freaks me out, man. Like religious horror stuff. Speaking of which, Robert Pattinson is in Devil All the Time. I refuse to watch that.
I watched it. It wasn't very good.
Anything with religious undertones, count me out, dude, because that shit fucks with my brain. It makes me question things to the darkest, deepest level possible, and my brain does not handle it very well. So
that's fair enough.
I just refuse to watch Midsommar because I know there's some real fucked up shit in it, and I've already been spoiled. So I can't.
Well, there's some real fucked up shit in this movie, kinda.
HARK. Yeah, dude, I saw this movie in theaters when it came out. I watched it on opening night. I talked Elizabeth into going and seeing it with me. Let me just say that this is one of the worst and best theater experiences I've ever had. Worst in the fact that I had to sit in the front row and crank my fucking neck to look at the screen.
Oh, that's terrible.
And also I realized after exiting the theater that I was having a panic attack the whole time. And so I had to for the last 20 minutes driving home, I just had to chill my heart out for a while. But it was a good movie experience in the fact that you'll notice while watching the film that there's just these deep, low frequency hums that move the pace along throughout the film. And the foghorn, that shit was so nice in the theater. In the theater, it's deafening and cerebral. It is so overly stimulating. That was really fucking cool. Because when the film opens up, it opens up with the foghorn. I just knew going in, oh, this shit's gonna be dope.
Was this something that you after you left the theater? Were you thinking about it for days?
Oh yeah. There's so much about the movie. It's kind of simple in concept and in setting and it's just a lighthouse and the surrounding parts of it on two light keepers. So it's simple on paper. And so the movie really expands upon fucking with your brain and not giving you a villain and not giving you a hero and leaving you to your thoughts. And so yes, I did think about it for days afterwards. I didn't know and I saw it fresh on opening night, so I couldn't just go on YouTube and be oh, what did this mean? I had to sit there and simmer in the fucking fact that I have really no idea what I just watched, and I'm trying to piece it together what's left in my brain and trying to figure out what the fuck did that all mean? What did I miss? And there's shit that I still don't really understand. Even I've seen it twice now, and so have you. By the way, that doesn't look good on my part if I just watched it today, but I've had the fucking wildest shit happen lately, so that kind of I wish I would have had more time to
I mean, dude,
gush.
Even I wish that I would have seen it earlier. I just saw it last night. I watched it twice on the same day.
Damn, that's commitment, bro.
Yeah. Well, I knew that it was a movie that I couldn't just watch one time. And I kind of did it a disservice by, on my first watch, we watched it during the day, at 7 p.m. And light was coming in. There was a glare on the TV. God bless my wife, but she likes to talk a lot during movies. And I was
you're not the only one in that boat, brother.
I was hyper fixated on what was going on, on the screen the whole time.
Was she asking a lot of questions?
Yeah, or just like making unrelated comments or like saying hi to the dog that's like 2 feet away. It's just what she does. And
Yeah.
usually it doesn't bug me if we're watching like Kong Skull Island or something. But this movie I was like, shut up. I'm trying to watch.
Please.
So my second viewing was way more appropriate. I laid down on the couch around like midnight last night and I fixed myself a glass of bourbon. Like I made it old fashioned as usual. I watched it with all the lights out and it was pouring rain outside. So it was like perfect atmospheric like fodder for me to like really take in the movie. And I think even though I was confused after my first viewing and I was still confused after my second viewing, things made a lot more sense and I could like kind of collect what my overall opinion of the film was. I don't know. I'm not. How do we break this down? Like, should we go over?
We can go like into the
the
basic
main
premise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Robert Pattinson's character, go through the film like not naming themselves for probably about 30 to 40 minutes, I would say. But Robert Pattinson's character goes, fuck, it's so hard to pronounce.
What?
Ephraim Winslow and Thomas Wake. The movie shot in black and white, and so it's like very monotone, and everything that you take from it is dialogue. Everything like expositionally is like dialogue and like silent actions from each character. So that kind of like drives the story, and it also like helps build up like the slow tension that rises into like a big chaotic climax. I don't have a lot of like horror under my belt or anything. Like I don't have like a lot of films to draw comparison to. Like I've seen The Conjuring and like a couple like really shitty B movie fucking horror movies and shit, like paranormal shit.
So have I.
That tried to ride that hype like in the early 2010s of like The Conjuring and shit like that. Yeah, the two characters, Willem Dafoe's character, he is like kind of like the head honcho, the boss. It's almost like Robert Pattinson's character is like an apprentice. Like this is his first trip out to a lighthouse. You know, he's a wickie. He's fresh, like kind of like young blood. You kind of just over the course of who knows how long, you get to like see their characters slowly dissolve into like this alcohol fueled madness, and then you have no idea who to trust, who's right, who's who. Did it happen?
Like, is it all like metaphorical?
Yes. There's a lot of symbols that are like littered throughout. Like there's shit that I don't understand as well. There was a couple scenes, or not even scenes, but like small glimpses of imagery that don't make fucking sense, at least to my brain.
I'm in the same boat as you.
But my overall opinion so far, I hate horror, but like I fucking love this movie. Even a casual moviegoer to be like, damn, that shit was kind of good. And like we have a Ryan, he's seen it. I think I told him to watch it a while back because it was on Amazon Prime. He was like, that shit's fucked up.
I can't imagine like what he thought when watching this.
Oh my God.
This doesn't seem like the kind of movie he would like.
Nah, he probably likes Fast and Furious.
Maybe.
Bro, they go to space in the most recent Fast and Furious. Do you know this? They go to fucking space.
Weren't people like joking about that happening? Like a couple movies ago in that series, they were like, God, they're going too far. They're going to end up in space eventually. So they finally did it.
Bro.
Wait, have you seen this?
I think no. I think they're no. I would never stoop that low. I think they're film. I think the last Fast and Furious movie is like the 10th one that they're gonna make. I'm gonna call it. I don't know if this is like has been already confirmed yet or not. They're gonna name it Final Furious.
You think so?
Fucking calling it right now on this podcast. Okay, they're gonna name it Final Furious dash. The fucking saga concludes or whatever, you know, whatever the fuck they want to do. I'm calling it right now. Final Furious. Vin Diesel has a nuke strapped to his fucking Challenger and fucking kills Vladimir Putin. I don't know.
You know what? I think I might go see that one.
That would actually be kind of dope, I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't seen the first 9, but that's a movie that I would watch right there.
Do you have anything like leading into the story like that you found like particularly interesting?
Oh man, I mean,
well,
there's
all of it, but yes.
There's a ton of stuff in this movie that's interesting. It'd be hard to nail it down to one thing.
You want me to probe you?
Okay, yeah, we can go that way.
So like, since this is his first Like, this is his first trip to a lighthouse, according to the beginning of the story. Do you think that, like, Willem Dafoe's character is such a dick to begin with?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Like, before they even start going mad, there's something off about him. Mm-hmm. Even though he comes across, like, kind of friendly at times, like, his emotions, like, change back and forth, like,
they're
crazy.
So fucking manic, bro. It's crazy.
And that's, like, one of the things that adds so much tension to this movie, because, like, they can be having, like, a drunk, good old time, and then 30 seconds later, they got their, like, hands on each other's throats. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
I think when they arrive on the island, William Dafoe is already kind of mad.
Yes.
And not angry, like, crazy.
In the beginning of the film, it's described that they're going to be on the rock for 4 weeks. They're going to be on the island for 4 weeks. Pattinson's character, like, refuses to drink at dinner because, like, it opens up, they get put on the rock, and then it cuts to dinner because it's in the evening.
There's, like, 10 minutes of, like, no dialogue.
Yes.
Like, it's all, like, establishing shots of, like, the rock, the lighthouse, like,
up in the bedroom type area.
Mm-hmm.
You already get, like, one fart, I think, from Willem Dafoe, which is hilarious. Again, simple in concept and, like, subtle things that they do to, like, bring characterization to, like, each of these characters, like, mm-hmm. make them feel unique, even, like, in the most fucked up ways. But he, like, refuses to drink, which is, like, you get that character building, like, so Pattinson's character refuses to drink. Dafoe's characters, he's offended that he won't drink. As this goes on, they're, like, talking about, Willem's describing, like, you'll have duties, like, and then he's like, I will tend to the light. Like, you get that first aggressive, like, subtle aggression, like, passive, of him saying, only I will tend to the light. That gives you the question in your mind, like, okay, why can't his character go up there?
Yeah.
So it's just, like, small. That is literally the start of the story. It's so simple. Like, I think that's, like, beautiful for, like, a film. In today's movie going, I feel like it has to be, like, this crazy big budget or, like, deep idea. Like, we we love Nolan, but his concepts for films are always, like, so not bizarre, but, like, complex. Even like Tenet. Like,
it's always something big.
It's so, and you need so much exposition to, like, get the viewer caught up, to, like, get caught up with the concept of the movie, and then on top of that, tell, like, a compelling story with, like, all these complex intricacies of a film, and then try to move the audience. So, like, mm-hmm. We're back, like, to simple.
Dude, bare bones stuff here. Yes. Just two blue-collar guys.
I think after that, like, we get to see Willem Dafoe naked for the first time, like, up in the lighthouse.
I think there's, like, a bunch of, like, grueling shots of Robert Pattinson. I'm having trouble remembering, like, the exact order of things, but, like, replacing the shingles on the roof, hauling coal from, like, a shed to a furnace. Really, like, grueling stuff, you know?
Yeah. Labor. Like, mm-hmm. manual labor shit. But Pattinson is outside in the evening, like, smoking a cigarette. Dafoe is naked, standing at the top of the lighthouse. And
you can only see it from, like, far away. Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get closer naked shots later. But, yeah, so, like, there's, like, this weird shit. And then at the end of that scene, Pattinson's character walks out into the sea, hearing a siren call, a mermaid, mm-hmm. and then he wakes up in his bed. Like, as he walks, and he's, like, entranced, walking towards the sea, and then he just wakes up in his bed.
This is one of the first few things in the movie that, like, kind of threw me off. Mm-hmm. Because, like...
pacing's weird, right?
It is, because it, like, kind of jumps between... You don't know it on your first viewing, but you're, like, jumping between fantasy or dream sequences. Mm-hmm. And there's not really ever anything to, like, let you know that you're in a fantasy or a dream sequence at the time.
There's no change in tone of color. It's all monotone, black and white. Mm-hmm. And then even the characters never acknowledge it.
And they never talk to each other about the strange things that happen, mm-hmm. which was, like, driving me crazy on the first viewing. Uh-huh. But, like, the second viewing, I kind of knew what to expect. So
I remember my first viewing in the theater being, like, really disoriented. There's too much, like, again, there's too much simplicity. Like, even on my second viewing, I was like, I wasn't going to be surprised by anything. I remembered a lot about this movie. I just need refreshed. I needed to recollect. So after he wakes up, there's like so many like compilations of him doing horrendous shit and like having to like do a bunch of manual labor while Dafoe sleeps and jerks off and tends the light. So you get like your first weird shit happen because like at one point he like finds the mermaid trinket like in between the bed and like stuffs in his coat like in the first opening scenes of the movie. Pattinson's like replacing shingles and shit on the roof at one point and like sees Dafoe like with his fucking ass in the fucking air, and like it's so the sexual tension parts of the movie like really fucking like they go there though.
When we started talking about the movie, I almost led in with a line saying this is the weirdest romantic comedy I've ever seen. And I kind of thought that at multiple points through the movie,
like when they're dancing and they almost kiss and shit. Yeah, that shit's fucking weird.
and then immediately start fighting afterwards.
Punches him in the fucking liver and shit. Yeah.
God, how do we go about this? like in a structured way. Like I'm like, I want to tackle certain things and like focus on them, but it's like there's so much.
Well, that shit, like the weird sexual tension is like one aspect of the weirdness. There's weird symbolic shit, like you're getting like these weird flashes of like mermaids and like dead bodies and like seagulls. Everything's monotone, so you can't really tell like what is what. Like there's the sludge and like the water supply and shit, like a gull dies in it, and you can't tell if it's blood, if it's mud. There's a lot of like weird dark imagery, and like there's a fucking octopus in the lighthouse, apparently.
Yeah, we see it a few times actually.
Yeah,
we see it on the top of the light. We see it like when Dafoe and Pattinson are doing like one of their fighting scenes. A bunch of tentacles come up behind Pattinson and like try and grab him up. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of appear in some of those weird compilation shots where they're showing like the mermaid mm-hmm. and like the all of the brush that like
comes up shore.
This is one of the things in the movie I don't understand.
I think a lot of it is trying to be symbolic. What it does best, even if you can't really read into it, is that it really does a good job at disorienting the viewer. Even if you can't nail down what it means. Now, there are some things that do make sense. Like there's a person with one eye that he finds in the lobster box mm-hmm. or the whatever catches their dinner, and the seagull
also
that
only
Pattinson
has one eye.
Has
mm-hmm.
one eye, and that was at the beginning of the film. Dafoe's character describes what happens to his last lightkeeper. He says he went mad and started saying that there was an enchantment in the light and all that bullshit. Eventually, Pattinson's character finds out that, according to Pattinson, that Dafoe killed, which makes sense in the aspect that Dafoe's character says that you shouldn't kill a sea, like best not to mess with the gulls. They're the souls of sailors.
It's bad luck to kill one.
And the gull has no eye, and that's the one he kills. The symbols make sense in that respect, but there are other things that are littered throughout. Like, is the mermaid real, or is it just Pattinson's imagination? Is it his sexual fantasy he gets from the trinket? Is Dafoe a fucking mermaid? Like, is Dafoe Poseidon?
We do get amazing imagery of Willem Dafoe as a mermaid at one point.
Oh, it's not amazing, but yes.
I thought it was amazing.
It's amazing in the aspect that it happens.
Exactly.
And the aspect of for my consciousness to wrap my head around, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world. Mm-hmm. He is no pretty mermaid, I'll tell you that much.
Well, no.
This is gonna be a fucking weird direction, but like, you know how we're talking about these two gentlemen like to jerk off, and so fucking Pattinson. Here's a good audio trick they did. When old Robbie is rubbing it out, the man has to, finish.
Like into a bucket or something, right?
Well, or like release his load, his coom. It fucking makes like sea spray. I don't know if you caught this. It's really like the first time he's like, rubbing it out. It fucking like sounds like water hitting the rocks. And I'm like, as it cuts away, like to indicate that he has a cummed. And so I was like, that's slightly disturbing, but it was a good it was a good way to indicate in an auditory fashion.
I don't think I caught that.
That this man has indeed came from staring at a mermaid trinket. So good on Robert Edgar's part in that direction, but slightly disturbing in trying to describe it. So that shit was fucking hilarious, though.
I feel like you had a fun time dancing around those words right there.
But yes.
You use so many euphemisms, and then you just end with, he comes. I guess you ran out of words.
But, and then this is, I think after that part in the film, like, you get to see Dafoe naked for the second time. And, like, he's fucking sitting there and fucking telling the light how much he loves it and shit. Again, Dafoe, I don't know if you caught this, but he refers to the light as like a woman almost.
I did catch that,
so,
yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense since the man literally jerks off up there. Because I think Robert, like, he goes up into the lighthouse and, like, sees Dafoe up there and shit. And, like, then you get, like, that was, like, the first flash of, like, tentacle. Like, there might be, like, a monster up there or some shit.
I could be wrong about this, but, like, when they, like, during that scene, when, like, Pattinson is, like, watching him from underneath. So, like, Dafoe doesn't know he's there. And, like, you see, like, the slime drip down, which, like, obviously, like, what?
I was gonna say, is it slime?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, because, like, you think it's, like, jizz the first time you see it, and then they show the tentacle, and it's kind of, like, you know, like, slimy and shit. You could take it either way, maybe.
Exactly. That's, like, one of the other things. It's, like, a lot of shit like that's open to interpretation. Even the cum is open to interpretation.
Damn, this is a deep movie.
Oh, shit. I think you get, after that, after, like, Pattinson, like, sees that, it cuts to the next morning where, like, Dafoe is chewing him out for, like, not mopping the floors well enough. And that's, like, when you get that first great monologue. There's, like, a couple of them. This is, like, to show the power struggle between the two characters. And Dafoe, like, has Pattinson's character by his balls because he's the one that has the logbook and, like, gives...
like an employee review, basically.
Yes, and, like, controls his wages and shit. So, like, that's another thing that Dafoe has over him. He's hiding the light, and then he's able to determine whether or not Pattinson's going to get paid. Dafoe's character is so fucking menacing. He, like, describes to him, if you have to pull every nail from the floorboard and suck it clean of rust, and then build the building back from scrap, you'll do it over and over again, and you'll like it because I says you will. Like, and then they'll go straight back to, "Hey lad, like, what you doing?"
I was so, like, enamored with his character because of that. Because, like, it seems like there was two versions of Dafoe's character. Like, he was, like, in work mode or, like, friend mode.
Yes.
I feel like friend mode would mostly come out at, like, the dinner portions of the movie, at least during, like, the first 4 weeks, because, like, you know, things break down after that. But his performance...
It's impeccable, bro.
I'm all over the place here. We can talk about all, like, the weird, like, symbolism and all of that stuff. Yes. And, like... But I think at the core of this movie, it's a super interesting, just, like, character study.
There's only two characters, at least two that have dialogue. I've been wanting to talk about Dafoe for a long time, and Pattinson, specifically because I've seen this movie before. But Pattinson's come a long way from fucking Twilight, and Dafoe is, like, such an impeccable actor. He has the craziest fucking range, dude. He could do any fucking role.
Probably, yeah.
Like, he could do the Joker. He could do, like, a character in, like, a slice of life drama. He can be a fucking villainous lighthouse keeper. He can be a detective in fucking, what do you call that, American Psycho. Like, he is one of the great actors, and I feel like he's slightly underappreciated because he doesn't have, like, he's always in, like, in a supporting role. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that, yeah.
But he
steals the show here.
Oh, of course.
As great as Pattinson is in this movie, I mean, like, this is the Dafoe show.
The Dafoe show has a ton of great monologue that really, like, the black and white aspect of this film really help capture, like, the dialogue and, like, the facial expressions.
I agree.
To another fucking level. I can't imagine this movie shot in color.
No, not at all.
So, like, it has such a rich, old feel to it. and it's so refreshing in a modern era because it reminds me of I've never seen this, but I've seen plenty of video essays on it, but like the style reminds me of like the Ten Commandments a little bit. You ever seen that? You know what I'm talking about? It's like that. It's it's
no.
like fucking like 4 hours long or something. It's like about like the Ten Commandments, like that Bible story.
Yeah.
But it's got like that old like early, like what do you say, like 1950s, 1960s type feel to a film. Like very grainy, almost kind of cartoonish, and some like the waves, for example. Don't the waves kind of look fake?
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like those shots can be placed in old films like that.
It almost seemed like stock footage from like a long time ago, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, and like in the way light plays off Dafoe's face, especially during the HARK monologue.
Yeah.
That, like the way the light hits his face and like the way the camera captures him almost feels cartoonish in a way that it isn't grounded in natural light. So it kind of has like this weird old feel to it. Very grainy and like almost like overexposed or like underexposed. Like sometimes it can be like too bright, but then like the light can capture his face really well, but then it can go back to like you can look at those waves and be like they look fake as fuck.
I think like one of the times where that graininess, I noticed it the most was when Dafoe is chasing Pattinson with like the axe. The way it's shot makes it look like a 1950s like silent film or something. Like,
well, the fog and like rain spit might have something to do with that.
Yeah, like it definitely has like a different feeling than any other shot in the movie. Because like sometimes things are like it might be in black and white, and like the ratio might be what is it, like 1:19:1 in this movie.
It's a square, right?
Yeah, I think so. But like some of the things are super high definition, even though like it has that old feel. But there were scenes in this where it looks like they dropped in footage from something that was like nearly 100 years old.
In the theater watching this for the first time, I didn't even know it was going to be a square. So it fucking threw me off so much right from the get-go.
Did you think that it would like open up eventually?
Yes.
Like maybe the intro was only in that ratio?
Yes. Like first viewing is such a weird experience, but second viewing is like, okay, I've navigated this space before. Yes, this movie is more of a character study.
I think that like one more thing on the ratio thing. The way how like the square, it kind of aided in the claustrophobic feeling of the movie. Like things felt so tight. Like whenever there was like a close-up shot of a character's face, it felt like you were like they were like breathing on you or something.
And like Pattinson's mustache, you could reach out and touch it. Dude, his mustache is legendary in this.
It was a great mustache.
He should bring it back. I also like, we never really talked about this, but like costume design, I don't know. Like I know it's simple in practice probably, but like, I don't know. I just feel like we were such a part of like the world. They would be wearing overalls and shit, and like you get to see them like wake up and just like pull their overalls up and shit over their like undershirts, like over their, what do you call them, like long john type shit. You get to see them like really live like this blue collar lifestyle. Actually, they do live. They live there
During the filming?
during the production of the film, and like it was cold as fuck. Like,
I bet they filmed it in like Nova Scotia, right?
So you got to like really be like they'd have sweaters on, and like I don't know. I just felt like yes, it's simple in practice, but like it's done so well. Like even the building and stuff. Like over the course of the film, as like the madness descends upon them, the set starts to slowly like
deteriorate,
and like become decrepit and shit. So it's like cool, and like the water pump and the fucking sink and shit, like that shit's, even when he pumps the water, you get like that big, you can hear like the air go back down,
like the resistance that he's feeling on it.
I know it's simple, but it's so fucking cool. Like the audio tricks they play on everything helps build up like this crazy atmosphere in such a small, simple setting.
Piss break.
One of the things, the events that happens in the movie that I started really getting really thinking that like these characters are out to kill each other was when Pattinson's being suspended by Dafoe painting the lighthouse, and Dafoe like is like being kind of rough with like descending Pattinson down, and Pattinson's like trying to say, "Hey, take it easy, man." And Dafoe's like, "You're in no better hands than mine," and proceeds, the rope like snaps and shit, like the seat that Pattinson's on, like all the fucking shit falls, and he falls probably like 10 feet, I would say, at least.
It looks pretty high from like the perspective of the camera.
And that shit, like they don't even like acknowledge that shit. Like it just happens, and then Dafoe wakes up with a gall on his pants, like tearing his like leg pan open.
Yeah, well, Pattinson does.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're good. Well, like Dafoe doesn't come and like wake him up, check up on him. I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, and that shit weird.
That definitely is like one of the first hints that Dafoe's character kind of has like shitty intentions. Mm-hmm. But it's like you don't catch it early on because it does seem like a freak accident. It's not until other events happen later on in the movie where you're like, I think Dafoe might be out to get this guy.
And then you get the comparison of Pattinson out to get Dafoe. He hides a knife from him. Small, subtle things throughout their daily activities that they're doing to like fuck with each other. You get to find out like Pattinson's character, he goes by Winslow. He's like a drifter. And he used to work for a logging company, like up in like near Canada and shit. Pattinson, he's like explaining this to Dafoe, and is like, "Yeah, I'm just looking to like start anew, make enough money to settle down, build a house, stuff like that." And you're getting Dafoe's character like probing these questions, like, "Oh, you're a drifter, a runaway, eh?" And Pattinson denying these things. Doesn't it almost feel at times that like they're talking to each other and never acknowledging the words being said to each other? Like they're just talking, and then like Dafoe will be like, "Yeah, you're doing this, right?" And then Pattinson continues, and then Dafoe's like, "You're a fucking runaway." And they're not even having a conversation, they're just saying these things.
I found it that they were like trying to convince themselves of the things they were saying.
Yes, that's
like,
a great way to put it.
Does that make sense?
They like had what they already thought in their head of each other, and like not listening to each other, and it's almost like they're always speaking to themselves rather than to each other. After like the painting incident where he falls, like Winslow's supposed to get off the rock, like this is the end of the 4 weeks, and the next day they don't get off the rock because Pattinson kills the gull and the wind changes. You get like that pan up the lighthouse and the wind changed like in some paranormal shit.
Dude, did it not remind you of Alfred Hitchcock a little bit? Like a shot that might be in Psycho or something?
Yeah.
Like the stiff movement of the camera directly to like the base of the lighthouse all the way up. It felt very like old school, like the way that was shot.
Yeah.
No, that was a sidebar.
No, because like in modern day, they would have established the wind earlier, rather than just being like, the wind's changing, motherfucker, like right then and there. Right? Don't you think? Like it would have to be
I would say so.
It would have to have been an established thing. So it does have like that oldie feel to it. And because they're getting off the rock tomorrow or whatever, they decide to drink at dinner. And Pattinson character has refused to drink at this point, since they're getting stuck on the rock because the storm comes in. Yeah,
the relief never comes to switch out shifts between, you know, the two guys.
Pattinson continues to drink. I feel like the madness starts after the drinking. So, because I feel like a large part of the story is told through Pattinson's eyes. Like the perspective of time gets altered through him starting to drink. It's never Dafoe's show. Well, it is Dafoe's show, but it's never his story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's always going through Pattinson's character, even though it's just the two characters. The question comes back to, is Pattinson delusional, or are they both delusional, or is Dafoe delusional? Like, is Pattinson the right one here? Is Dafoe the right one, or are they both? But it comes through like after the drinking starts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think when I started to question whether like the reality of things is when like Pattinson was shown like working so hard, like doing all the manual labor and stuff, and then Dafoe would come in and say, "Yeah, you're a lazy dog.
Yes.
Like you haven't done any of this."
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you start to question Dafoe, like, is he fucking with him? But then there's like moments later on where Dafoe accuses Pattinson of killing the Gaul, and then like Pattinson lies. So you're like, was he lying to himself about the whole thing?
Is Pattinson being lazy type shit? Like Dafoe, because Dafoe has seen it all then.
The scenes where Pattinson's doing like the manual labor, are we only seeing what he thinks he's doing? Like he's working harder than he really is? Like I kept wondering that throughout the movie.
Yeah. The other thing is like Pattinson has had like this disdain from the get-go as well. Like this weird negative feeling straight from the get-go. So like that helps tie into his character of being like, because we find out later that Pattinson has like taken on this name from someone else that he like let drown, I guess, or like kind of like wanted to murder anyway. Right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
You want to murder him? It's
left open to interpretation, I think.
I watched this movie with subtitles. And
so did I.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Do you watch it with subtitles the second time?
Both times.
Both times? Okay, good. Mm-hmm. I noticed when I was watching it with subtitles, like I felt like I was being drawn away from the shots a little bit trying to read, which kind of sucked. But dude, it's such hard dialogue. When we left the theater, me and Elizabeth, she was like, it was good, but like I really didn't know what they were saying the whole time. And I was like, that makes sense.
The 18th century like sailor talk was like very thick.
And it doesn't help that, well, both of their accents, but specifically Pattinson's, I felt was harder to follow than Dafoe's, in my opinion. Because I feel like Pattinson had like more of a twang to his voice, and it was kind of like a lot of his words would get mumbled together.
I thought his accent kind of changed over the movie a little bit too. Did you catch that?
It changed in the end for me.
Just at the end?
At the end is where I notice it.
There were certain points where like in the beginning when he was more polite and like willing to follow orders, he had like that very like English kind of sailor demeanor to him. And then like later on when he would get angry, I felt a little bit of like New Yorker or like Boston come out.
Yes. I don't know if that's I mean, I'm assuming it's probably on him, like his accent falling through. Does he have he has like an English accent, right? Like
yeah.
Like, yeah. So like a British accent more. So he's like taking on like a sailor is more, I would assume, more American or maybe French Canadian. I think he's from Canada, he says. But he does change. I noticed in the end where he was like bark dog, or like he would like when he had him walking like a fucking dog.
I think he kind of took on Defoe's accent a little bit more towards the end.
I know that's probably was
like deliberate.
Yes.
Well, I was wondering if the whole like accent changing thing was deliberate because he's already stolen one person's identity. Has he done this before?
Another thing with that, yes, exactly. If this was on camera, people would be like, y'all need to chill. But like Dafoe has like been telling all these stories throughout the film of like, and he can't keep his story straight of like how his leg is fucked up, and like telling all these stories of like women he slept with and shit, like his wife and kids or whatever. He like can never keep his story straight. And like you don't find out till later at the end of the film, like in the logbook, that it's all fucking made up, according to Pattinson's character.
Well, what does he tell him the first time? He says he broke his leg through some incident with like Catholic nuns or something.
And then it turns into scurvy, and then like Pattinson catches on to that, but then you get that mirror with Dafoe's character catching Pattinson like in between identities with like Winslow and then Thomas Howard. He spills his beans.
Why'd you spill your beans, Thomas?
Dude, you know what really got me to watch this movie to begin with?
What was that?
Like when I went and saw it, it was the trailer. I was so captivated by the trailer because it was like, won't you spill your beans? And like shit like that. Like in the trailer, I'm like, bro, this is going to be good. I need to go watch this.
I don't think I've seen the trailer for this.
I remember when it got, help me to recollect. When did this movie come out? I think it was in the fall.
The fall of 2019? I think
so.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember seeing the trailer for it like in late July. It was like a month or so before it came out. And I remember being like, I need to go see this. And like, I don't even like horror, but I was so intrigued by like the pairing of the two, Pattinson and
the star
Dafoe.
power helps.
And I was like, holy shit, I need to go see this. This is going to be awesome to see these two work together. And it was in black and white. And I'm like, holy shit, like this is like...
It's probably not what you expected in the end though, right?
No, I thought it was going to be more grounded for sure. But dude, pleasantly surprised. But let's see. Oh, fuck, where were we? We're getting lost like these characters right now.
I was thinking the same thing. It's only appropriate.
Since this is last night, they get fucking blackout drunk and they wake up and then they like, we may have missed them and everything. And I think this is to like help illustrate that after the drinking starts, time gets really diluted for the characters because they're always drunk. They can't tell how long they've been there. And if they have, they lie to each other. They'll go from like these drunken shanties and dancing to like, I hate you. And like you said earlier, like they'll start choking each other and shit or fighting. And like the two characters never address that at all. It's always like everything's brushed under the rug after they wake up in the morning.
Is that like a characteristic of late 1800s men? Like probably not wanting to talk about stuff like
Yes,
that?
I think so.
It'd be kind of out of character if they like got all down and
yes,
in the depths of
well, he
their
spills
emotional
his,
state.
Hey, they spill their beans. Don't get me wrong, but they have to be drunk to do so. But after they get drunk, you get the famous like what.
This is one of the best scenes in the movie.
Seeing this in theaters, because this was in the trailer. The what? Like it was comedic. It actually is comedic. Like while it's happening, but then you get like no space. It immediately turns into Dafoe's character cursing fucking Pattinson with Poseidon. Like he's literally like praying to Poseidon almost.
All because Pattinson doesn't like his cooking.
You're fond of me lobster, aren't you? I seen it.
I think this was definitely intentional as like a comedic thing because I read something that Robert Eggers said that his last movie, The Witch, took itself too seriously. So like he purposely put in kind of like dark comedy bits into this movie.
Yes.
I laughed at multiple points.
The farting and shit cracked me up. And like, dude, when Pattinson throws the shit and it flies right back in his face, that shit is fucking hilarious. Because you get like that like meme cut of like screams cut short.
He's like clenching his fist at the end of the cliff, like
yeah. And it's like the scream is something I've never could imagine Pattinson being portrayed out of him, but it's so fucking hilarious. Like it's almost like I don't even think his vocal range could even go there until you see it.
And dude, this monologue that Dafoe does about
it's some of the best acting I have ever seen.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's fucking incredible.
It might be some of the best writing too.
Well, hey, here's the other thing. You can watch Dafoe and Pattinson have plenty of interviews about this movie when it came out, like during like the advertisement of it and shit.
I haven't seen any of it.
They talk about how they were just sent the script. Thinking about how like an actor has to like they have to take scripts before they sign on, and like then you get like screen tests and all that bullshit. The script had to be so captivating for both of these two to agree to this film, which just complements the fact that the writing in this is incredible. I believe Edgar's brother helped write the script.
I think so, yeah.
And they had, I guess, like Edgar's had been wanting to work with both of them, and like I think he. I mean, I might be wrong here, so don't quote me, but I think he like made this for them. Like I think they wrote this with intentions of having these two work on this, and so. But Dafoe in any interview, dude, he is such a wholesome person. The way he like described like his love for film, like he has cried in films he's been in on viewing, not because he's in them, but because like he finds the art so beautiful. Like he's such like an incredible actor. Like he has such a deep appreciation for his work, like for the work and his work. So I think it's really awesome that like here's the script. It must be written so well that for them to agree upon such a simple movie, you know, in concept. Yes, the dialogue is fucking great.
I think the longer that his like sea curse monologue went on, the funnier it got, because it's all over like a fucking meal, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Like the monologue probably lasts about 2 minutes, maybe longer, like slightly. Just the absurdity like makes it so funny, and then it ends with a comedic one-liner when Pattinson answers, and he's like, "I guess I do like your cooking."
He's like, "All right, have it your way. I like your cooking." Dude, I watched this with a packed theater, and we all laughed. Like,
okay, good.
So yes, people that watched this film with me had like A24 shirts on. I was in good company while watching this movie, so it was fucking awesome. It was such a great movie experience.
I don't know what would happen if you like placed a test audience of like the general public in a theater and like filmed the reaction to this movie. I don't know if they would hit the beats that the movie like is meaning to make.
Nah, they definitely did. At least with my experience, dude. Damn, I'm like remembering all that shit. Like,
I'm kind of jealous.
that shit was fucking dope. Again, this kind of like, you know how he's like praying or like cursing him with Poseidon and shit. This kind of draws the symbolism that like Dafoe's character might be some sort of like
God.
sea god, yeah, like some sort, because you get like the imagery at the end that he might be, or at least
there's like the thunder roar when he says "hark."
yes, at the end it's just like, or no, at the beginning where it starts crackling thunder and shit. It's almost like he controls the actions, like with the weather and like the gulls and like just crazy shit like that. So that kind of like ties back into like he might have like some sort of supernatural element to him.
I'm glad you brought this up now because I had something fresh in my mind that I wanted to ask you about. There's a scene where Pattinson and Dafoe are like sitting and they're like having a smoke, and Dafoe is sitting in a rocking chair knitting something, and Pattinson's like smoking a cigarette, and they're having a conversation about God, and he asks Pattinson, "Are you a god? Like, are you a religious man? Do you pray?" And he says, "Well, not as often as I'd like to."
But like God-fearing.
I'm a God-fearing man.
If that's what you're asking.
And as the scene ends, his like cigarette goes out, and he like takes a look at it, like something made the cigarette go out, and like the movie doesn't make a fuss about it. Like it just.
I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice that? I noticed
Was it like
it,
an unfinished kind of thing.
Like it like happened like both. Like I noticed it both times I watched when they have that conversation, and like Pattinson kind of like brushes it off. Like he immediately looks at his cigarette like it went out on its own. And that's when I was wondering, like, is like Dafoe like manipulating something even as small as that, like making his cigarette like unlight or something? I don't know. That's like a super small thing, but I caught it like jumped out to me a little bit.
That would kind of help tie back in, though. I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's almost like Pattinson's character is cursed from the get-go because he's on the run already. Like he already has some like deep dark past coming from him. Then I question it because like Dafoe's last lightkeeper like just stopped for some reason, you know, and like then Pattinson found him with, you know, basically decaying. Or did he, you know? Fuck, this movie fucks with you so much.
You can go in circles like talking about the theories.
Winslow's like looking for the logbook at times. He like tries to break open the thing. Or he does successfully. He breaks open like that cabinet that pulls out that like Dafoe's character sits down and writes at, and like the logbook is gone. It's actually on him. Like he's sleeping with the logbook open, and then Dafoe like comes to kill him. Pattinson goes to kill him, and Dafoe wakes up, and like you get like this big close up of his eye opening and shit, and like he had like a knife to his neck, about ready to kill him.
I wasn't sure if like he was gonna kill him or not, because like he took the knife out at like the last second. I thought he was just there to steal the keys, and then like when he's sitting there like trying to take him, then he takes the knife out. Like do I gotta kill this guy to be able to get to this? Like I couldn't tell like if he was deliberately trying to hurt Dafoe or not. Like I know nothing about the character intentions in this movie.
Dafoe was like, queer way to wear your shoes or something like that, and he's like, I just didn't want to wake you. I think he like took his shoes off or something,
probably to be like
trying to be quiet. It's so weird because like they never acknowledge that shit after it happens. That's like one of the other things. Like Dafoe is like, literally had a knife to his neck, but it's never brought back up. And then like after that, they just like keep getting drunk. I think Pattinson spills his beans.
The editing in this scene is so odd.
He like is going on this long ramble about what happened to Winslow, and then all of a sudden
Dafoe's
he's
gone.
talking to no one. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is it another one of those things where he's like trying to convince himself of something?
It's hard because you can never tell, like, did Dafoe leave or was he there to begin with? And like, this is a good thing. This is not a bad aspect of the film. It just like, it helps create so much attachment to it. Like, it's not a negative, at least in my eyes it isn't. Things just have to be fucking spoon-fed to people sometimes. Like, you're getting a simple concept and then you have to like question everything about it. It is good filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's the other thing. He spills his beans, explains that what happened to that guy, and then you're getting like this weird, why'd you spill your beans?
Like his voice is echoing throughout the house, kind of.
Yes.
And like the camera, like also kind of like pans like
to the door,
from the bedroom to the door to like kind of follows along the house when this is all happening.
Uh-huh.
It's like the most supernatural that the camera itself gets throughout the whole movie. Like I would say at least.
Yes. But then he goes up to the top of the lighthouse again. This is one of those spots where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this means. Pattinson reaches out and like grabs what I thought was going to be Dafoe at the top of the railing of the lighthouse outside, and it ends up being him. It's like him.
He's like a twin.
Grabbing out, yes. It's like double Pattinson, and then as Pattinson's reach up and realizes it's himself, and then someone grabs him on the shoulder, and it's like Dafoe naked, and then the light is like coming through his eyes.
Well, when it cuts out, they're no longer on top of the lighthouse anymore. They're like on the ground.
Yes.
And like Dafoe and Pattinson are the only two people. Like the twins are gone.
Uh-huh.
This imagery is like legitimately one of the most interesting shots I've seen in a movie in a long time.
First off, Dafoe's naked. Second, there's the light shining through his eyes like he's caught Pattinson's character. I don't know if that's supposed to say like the lighthouse sees it all, or like is Pattinson the only one here? Like, because Dafoe embodies the lighthouse, at least symbolically to me, and Pattinson's only grabbing to reveal himself. It's just such an odd imagery to look at.
Piss break.
You were saying that this is Greek mythology?
Like the image itself was, yeah. And like there's other Greek mythology tie-ins into the movie about like Prometheus and
Poseidon, Prometheus. It's like almost like Icarus as well, right? There's like
flying too close to the sun type
or
shit.
One of the Greek gods steals something, like steals the fire of Olympus or something.
And he's like explicitly told not to do that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like an Adam and Eve thing if you like turn it into like the Christian version of events.
I think in the Greek mythology, he like steals the fire or whatever and then like is cursed. I think he's like chained to a rock or something.
To be pecked at by seagulls or like some kind of bird.
The liver, the eagle. Yeah, the eagle is eats the liver every day because the immortal god, and so his liver rejuvenates. But then every day the eagle comes back to eat it. Obviously, we get that at the end. But this, yeah, that's
chilling shot.
That shit is nasty. I remember seeing it in the theater and being like, imagine what. Well, you don't have to imagine. You get to watch it once. Upon first viewing, you're like, what the fuck? What a way to end the movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip too far ahead, but there is like Greek mythology symbolism in that aspect. Even in like the mermaids and stuff, kind of like old mythology, like old folk tale-y shit, playing a tie-in to like the story. This is where like Pattinson's character decides like, holy shit, I need to get out of here, and then like goes towards the lifeboat. And then Dafoe's like, don't leave me. and like proceeds to like axe the back of the boat so like he can't leave. And then like as he chases him with an axe, like how you were saying earlier, like about that shot and stuff, they go back into the building. And then Dafoe proceeds to be like, you just chased me with an axe. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
I can't tell if Dafoe was like gaslighting him the entire movie, or if that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
there's so many examples of that.
And it's tough too because a large part of the story is told through Pattinson's eyes. It's like through his perception, but like you don't trust either of them, even though Pattinson's like kind of the 80-20 or like the 70-30. Pattinson has more of like an influence on like the perspective of the story, but then you get Dafoe's character fucking with him, or is he fucking with him, or you know what I mean? You get all the way to the end and you're just like, who is who? Is there one? Is there two? Is there more than one? My stepbrother, I told you earlier before we started the show that he loves this movie. He even has a shirt like of the Lighthouse poster and shit, which is fucking dope.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Dude, I used to be like really big into film like long before he was. Like, not to be like, oh, I'm fucking better than him. But we were on vacation a couple years ago, and he was like, dude, I went back and like watched all these movies that you used to tell me about and shit. And like they're like The Life of Pi and shit like that. Like all these movies that
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah. All these movies that I used to like love to death growing up, like when I was like 14 and 15. He's like, dude, all those movies are fucking great. And like to know that he loves this movie. When we were on vacation, he kept saying, help me to recollect. Like he kept doing that shit to me. And like you get that in the like at least in this scene, saying how long have we been here? On first viewing, this comes to to a surprise, but upon second viewing, you're like, I know this is coming. First viewing, you're like, oh shit, like wait, how long has this been?
Is this where they're talking about the rations?
No, well, I'm just saying like after he chases him in with an axe and stuff, and is like, you just chased me with an axe. Like he's like, you're going mad. Like tell me how long have we been on this rock? Like. You've been crazy.
Like 5 weeks, 2 days.
Yes.
Am I just a figment of your imagination?
You're probably up north right now, logging, getting frostbite and freezing to death. And like, I immediately started thinking, oh shit, maybe what is he? Like, you start questioning again. Like you start questioning the basis of this reality that they're in. And then after this, he just says, "We're out of drink." Like, wait, like what? Like you're just gonna skim over the fact that you just chased him with an axe, or who chased who, and they're more worried about the alcohol.
It kind of personifies like the emotion jumping. Like I've mentioned it before, but like that Dafoe does, because after this scene, they start mixing like
kerosene or like oil or some shit,
like kerosene with honey. Because it's the only thing they got.
Yeah.
It's either like is it pronounced turpentine?
Yeah. Turpentine, yeah.
I think like the canister says turpentine on it.
And then you get that drop down over top shot of them like going screaming and like
beating on their chest and stuff.
He says monkey pump. Mm-hmm. And they like start like gorillas. It's fucking weird.
God damn, dude. This movie goes off the rails around this point. And like in a good way, not a bad way.
Dude, the build up to this is it's such a great relief, but also like so confusing and questioning. They get drunk again, after they mix the kerosene and shit and like all that bullshit. I think they fight or whatever. This might be the part where they're like dancing and then like
where they almost
slow dance,
share the kiss. Yeah.
But Robert gets his monologue. He's like, "See, that's what you do."
This is after he finds the logbook, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of skipping over that the storm gets so bad that it breaks the windows of the house.
The house falls apart. Yeah. They like literally water comes through the window and like shit's everywhere. Like they're sleeping like on piles of shit. Like not literally, but the tables and
just soggy
everything,
furniture, and yeah. I thought this was one of the funniest scenes in the movie, actually.
Where he's like, "Oh, and your farts, they, shit like that."
They wake up and the first thing Pattinson says is, "This place is a sty," or something.
Like this is, and Dafoe's like, "Morning to you," like, yeah.
But yes, the Pattinson monologue about the farts is so fucking funny because he says, "And you goddamn farts," and then he turns around and then he's got to go back to it again. He starts pounding on this like piece of furniture, and he's like, "You goddamn farts."
I feel like it's comedic, but also like I'm glad to see that because Pattinson goes on for like a minute or so. He gets his monologue, which like even though Dafoe, in my opinion, has like the better one, like at least the more emotionally impactful.
Yeah.
At least Pattinson gets his share of like that monologue.
This kind of felt like a release of tension because like Pattinson is kind of taking the shit the whole movie, and he might have like lashed out a few times, but this is the first time where he finally gets to tell the old man like fuck you, buddy. Like you smell like an onion. Fuck the farmhouse horse shit or something. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what he says, but the roasting was amazing.
After the monologue, this is where they start drawing blood, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because the axe is like in the table, and I can't remember who starts what.
They just start choking each other because
yes,
Pattinson finds the
logbook,
and it turns out that Dafoe, who like early in the movie kind of was like hinting like, I'm giving you high marks in the book, boy. Well, he was lying.
Yes,
because he accuses him of some of this is true,
like
theft, slacking on the job, sleeping in late, missing from duty, masturbating in the shed, and some of that is true.
But Dafoe is equally as guilty, but he just has the power.
Dafoe doesn't do any fucking like manual labor in this whole movie.
He just sits up and jerks off at the light. Yeah, they start choking each other, and then like you kind of get like this sequence of like maybe like Pattinson like raped Dafoe's character.
I kind of thought that too. And I had thought that Dafoe had fucked Pattinson earlier in the movie too. And I don't know if you caught that or not.
When? Explain.
Specifically, like there was obviously like the sexual tension and stuff kind of made me feel that the whole time that they might have been boning, maybe like consensually. I don't know if it was like assault or not. You were talking about earlier where Pattinson finds like himself, like the twin, like where you like see there's two of them. And then like grabbed on the back, and like Dafoe is in a very like dominant position behind him naked. I kind of thought that was like showcasing that.
You might be right. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it in any way.
I think it's only like illusion too.
Yes,
I couldn't like definitely say if that happened or not.
But one thing that made me think this though is like after like they're choking each other, and like Pattinson's character has like had like this sexual desire towards like a mermaid. Dafoe's character turns into like a mermaid / like Poseidon. He's got like a crusted crown, alluding back to his monologue and stuff. And then like after that, he like pulls up his overalls and stuff after like, and like Dafoe's character's laying flat on his belly and shit. And then you get like this bark dog. That's a good boy. Like he starts taking over like Dafoe's role of calling him boy and lad.
Yep.
This is when it starts blending together of like, okay, who is who has been in the dominant role this whole time, who is the leading man kind of deal. It's like fucking normal for them. He literally leads him out like on a rope, like a dog.
And it seems like he takes enjoyment out of this too. He's got a lot of pride in his walk when he does this.
What else like helps contribute to this is that we don't know how much time has passed. And so like how long has this gone on? Like how long have these characters been acting like this? How long like you said earlier, like how they have been having like consensual things. Like you got like Pattinson looking through the window, like getting like sexual desire from Dafoe, Pattinson with a mermaid and Dafoe with the light. Are they one person? Are they two separate people? Like, do they have consensual sex with each other, like you said? And so, like, that's why I thought, like, these men have had sexual relations with each other, and then, like, he leads him out, like, in some, like, dominatrix shit, like a dog, and then puts him in, like, the fucking hole that they dig the rations out of, which happened to be, like, alcohol, mostly, looked like.
Mostly. It was all gin.
Yeah. And he tries to, like, bury him alive. And, like, you're getting Dafoe again with, like, another monologue. And you get to see him being buried alive while talking. He's, like, chewing dirt and shit.
Oh, dude, this is, like, some of the most amazing acting I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. While watching, I couldn't help but think, like, holy shit, like, the level of staying in character you have to be to get dirt thrown on you and then, like, hold your lines true in character. Like, that shit is incredible.
I think like him choking on the dirt and stuff made it so much better. And I read somewhere that they only recorded this, or they only did 2 takes of the scene. And I can see why, because imagine like 20 takes of dirt being piled on you. Dafoe probably would have quit. Yeah. You know, he's so good, he nailed it in the 2 takes.
He's the GOAT, dude. But then like as he buries him alive, and then like And then like Pattinson goes back inside, and then he gets a fucking axe in the shoulder. He's like, the light is mine, and then like fucking puts an axe in his shoulder. Doesn't it give you such like The Shining vibes, like of?
Well, I've never seen The Shining, but kind of know what you're talking about.
It's just like so nonchalant. Like Pattinson's character is like, oh, I just got axed in the shoulder. Well, which may help with his pain tolerance because they're both drunk off their asses, at least from our understanding. And then Pattinson axes him in the head, like, so Dafoe's character dies. And like, dude, it's fucking nasty.
Yeah, it is.
Like you get like that spray and crunch. It's just fucking
the
disgusting.
sound design, dude.
Ugh,
oh my god,
nasty.
Piss break.
After Pattinson kills Dafoe's character, he lights a cigarette, which was like, I don't know if you picked up on that.
I did.
He talked about when Winslow died, he thought all he could think of was, I could use a smoke. And he literally, like, I was like, that's fucking great imagery to allude back to, like, when Pattinson's character has witnessed death. He's like, I could use a smoke. He lights the cigarette like nothing had happened. Like this is another day on the job for him. And then proceeds towards the light.
It kind of makes you wonder and like question his original story about like the whole Foreman incident, like being unintentional. Because like, I don't know, there's something fishy about his story. Like I think he fucking killed Ephraim Winslow or whatever on purpose, and he's lying about it. The thing with Dafoe was no accident. Like he put an axe in his head and then smoked a cigarette immediately after. So like murder doesn't like seem to bug him that much. But yeah, go on. My bad.
No, you're fine. That's all I was getting at. Like I just think it helps draw back to like you said, like both of these characters have lied this whole time, and like it's just showing that like they're both corrupt. It's just alluding back to like the fact that yes, Pattinson's character is a murderer, and they both lie to cover up the darkness.
Well, Dafoe might be a murderer too, possibly. Yeah.
I'm gonna just say, what do you think about the way this film ends? Because you get Pattinson going up to the light.
I originally thought that the movie would end like when he crawls up to the light and he like is able to unlock it finally. The panel opens on its own as if it's kind of mythical.
Yes.
And he stares into it. We're getting like kind of a shot from the perspective of the light itself, like looking at Pattinson, and like he gets lit up, literally. Like his features are all like bled out from this like ultraviolet light. I thought the movie was going to end right here.
Yes.
I'm so glad it did not end with that shot. Like I kind of would have felt cheated. Instead, he falls and rolls down this fucking huge stairwell. And like all I could think during the scene was, God, I feel bad for the stuntman that had to do this. Yeah, the final shot of the movie is him like getting pecked alive by seagulls. And on my first viewing, I still felt kind of cheated a little bit because like I should have known that something open to interpretation was coming, because I was like,
you're open to interpretation the whole fucking movie. I
was just thinking like, man, what the fuck? I think I appreciate the ending more the longer I think about it. There's no concrete answer to anything. Like I can't say like, yeah, I felt this way because it means so and so. Like I was just kind of left to like my own thoughts. But goddamn,
dude, I think that's the best thing about the movie is that it's so personal for each viewer to like think about. I doubt we're the only ones that think this, because like we have so many different like trees, the way the story can go, like different paths that like could be correct. There isn't one way to think about these characters and their backstories and the way they manipulate each other. There's different ways that they fuck with each other, and different ways that they could be telling the truth, they could be lying to each other. Like no one's good, no one's bad. Like they're both equal parts of the story, evil and pure in their own way. It's such a good way to tell the story, because I feel like if there was like a concrete ending, all this shit that we just watched would have been like, oh, this happened for this reason and this person did, I feel like
it wouldn't create as much discussion if it was concrete.
Exactly. we wouldn't have been able to talk about it this long. This is good filmmaking in a time where I feel like shit like this doesn't get made that often. I'm not saying like there isn't like deep level movies, because there is movies that make you question and think and like go in circles and shit, but this is a special kind of movie where like the whole movie is like one big chaotic loop of like what just happened, which is also really refreshing in horror, where like shit has to be like jump scare or a freaking 13th Halloween movie or like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like it's at least I liked it. I mean, there are other movies that achieve the same thing. Like Get Out isn't so much a horror movie, but more of a thriller. I really enjoy that movie, but that movie's symbols are a little bit more straightforward, at least compared to this movie. And that movie's pretty deep and complex in its own right. Dude, this is a fucking great movie. And like showcases like two great actors and one great director.
Did you have like a fan theory of like what the ending was going to be before it ended?
I did not. No, I didn't think about the way it was going to end, at least going into it blind.
I think like towards the end of the movie, I was starting to like wonder how it was going to end, and I thought that they would either kill each other or Pattinson would kill Dafoe, and then the relief would show up the next day. I kind of thought it was going to go in that direction.
I will say, when I was watching in the theater, I thought the relief, like not the relief, like the actual people, but I thought like it would be more concrete in the way the light was shown to be like the whole time throughout the movie. I thought the light was going to be more supernatural. Like I thought the light would have been like, I thought there would have been like a monster up there. Like I thought when the light opened, like tentacles would come out and shit. Like I thought like there must be something inside, and that doesn't happen. Like, and my thing is like with Pattinson reaching in, I thought like he's just burning his hand. In his mind, he's getting this source of power and enchantment, and he's like, he probably is literally burning his hand up and then is in an agony. I thought for sure though there was going to be more of like a paranormal, like a little bit more of a concrete answer at the end, like something would come out of the lighthouse, like something.
Thank God it didn't do that. Honestly,
dude, that would have fucking ruined the movie though. But the whole time I was thinking like there's got to be something in there.
I thought like, especially after my second viewing, I was thinking the light itself doesn't really matter in the equation of like this is more of one of those, the journey is way more than like the destination. And like in the end I kind of came away thinking the light meant nothing.
Yeah,
like they were just delusional to think it did. Like,
dude,
I don't know.
No, I think you're right though, because like if there was some sort of like great concrete ending, you'd have been like, that was fucking stupid. Like you'd have been like, that was fucking, why did they do that? The enjoyment comes out of the fact that you're so lost the whole time and you're still lost in the end, and like that's what makes the movie great. You never know, and you never will know, and it's up to you to like place importance on certain aspects of the movie. That's like what makes it great.
I don't think like any one particular theory that I've read so far can be applied to the whole movie. Like maybe bits and pieces, like the Greek mythology and like all that. And I've seen like theories where people say that both of the Toms are the same person, and like maybe that makes sense in some parts, but like it doesn't really in others. Like I just want to look at it the way it's presented. Like two dudes with like a whole lot of baggage went to this island, and like the isolation, the power struggle, the alcohol, the lack of resources, all just drove them into like the worst of human like existence. That's how I look at it, at least.
I think that's the way I look at it. I also look at it in a way of like masterful storytelling. Like I'm more captivated by the shots and the dialogue. I appreciate those things on their own. Like they could have been shown to me in clips removed from the story, and I would have appreciated them as well. Removed from the story. And then the balls it must take to have like a black and white film in today's modern era, and a funky aspect ratio and like simplistic sound design. There's no like score. There's no score to the film. It's like I said earlier, like low frequency hums and like foghorn
rain pattering on the lighthouse. Yeah.
And a lot of like really nice close-up shots. That's like masterful filmmaking. And then on top of that, you get like this really nice, crazy, chaotic story that like keeps you thinking. There isn't a lot I could ask from ask for from the film, because I can't want a concrete answer, because if there was, I wouldn't appreciate the film as much. And then on top of that, I appreciate like all the beautiful, nice, intricate filmmaking aspects that went into the making of the movie.
Dude, I'm in the same boat as you.
If you had to...
Everything that you just said, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
All of that taken into account, and the movie doesn't feel pretentious either.
No.
Because it allows fart jokes and like bits of dark comedy within like all this like weird shit. The perfect package, to be honest.
Bro, if you had to give it bro, we do this every time. Bro, if you like had to give it a rating, but like don't worry about like, you know, it don't have to be a concrete answer, but like what would you give it, bro?
Well, I mean, like ratings change and everything. Like nothing's concrete about a rating. I've only had 24 hours to process this movie. So I'm gonna go with a 9 out of 10 right now.
Okay.
And I could see it going up in the future. Like I think it could definitely be a all-time favorite, probably.
I will tell you this right now. I was in the same boat. Watching this second time, dude, there's like 2 years between both my viewings. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. Dude, I fucking hate horror movies, like anything that fucks with me like that. But dude, this movie is, I can't ask anything of it. Therefore, I give it a 10 out of 10. I have no gripes.
I don't think I criticized anything either, did I?
We both got the gush.
Yeah.
That's fine. I would give it a 9 out of 10 just for being like, nah, bro, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. That's fucking weird. But like, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 because like, I know for a fact that year it came out, I know I told you like, bro, this is one of the best movies I've seen this year. Like, this is incredible. There's just so much like masterful shit that goes on from like a sophomore film from a new director. Like
that's true.
So
I should have thought about that.
So like to me, I think that year I watched Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner 2049. I think came out in 2018, I believe, and I think I watched Blade Runner 2049 that year as well. And that was also one of my favorite films I had seen that year. But of 2019, dude, that was my favorite film. That like The Lighthouse was my favorite film that came out that year.
I think that like this will eventually be a 10 for me, but I just haven't had enough time to process what I've seen, you know?
You haven't had time to like develop a deep appreciation for it.
It's just a very fucking heavy movie.
But also, a 9 out of 10 is pretty fucking good for like the short amount of time that you've had a chance to like.
It's unlike anything I've ever seen before.
It's fucking wild,
and that makes it like amazing.
Sick, man. This is a fun one. I'm glad, dude. I've been waiting a long time for you to watch this movie, and I'm glad we got to do it on the podcast.
I've been waiting a long time to watch this movie, man.
What's the thing we're gonna do the next time on the thing?
Well, I already know I'm not gonna be able to match this one.
Oh, that's perfectly okay.
So like I've been bouncing around so many fucking ideas in my head lately, and like I wanted to do an album, but like I didn't, and like I kind of went back and forth. A lot of things are celebrating 5 and 10 year anniversaries this year, and I just couldn't decide. So I was thinking, we haven't talked about any movies from the 1990s. We've done one album from the 1990s, the Smashing Pumpkins, right? Are you a fan of the Coen Brothers at all?
Did they do Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I think so, yeah. They did No Country for Old Men, a bunch of random movies. I think the defining movie that they did from like the 90s was a film called Fargo.
I have never seen this.
I watched it for the first time last year, and it's horrifically violent and fucking hilarious.
Okay, I was going to say, isn't it comedic?
Yes. Coen Brothers usually have a little bit of like dark comedy in their movies.
Okay, dude, that's straight up my fucking alley though.
It's got William H. Macy, Frances McDormand, and Steve Buscemi in it.
Okay,
it's a fun one, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude! This is gonna be. I'm always like, I wonder what that's about. So this is gonna be a good one. I'm hyped.
I think you'll like it.
If you think I'll like it, there's a good chance I will. This will be a fun one to talk about, dude.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, dude. This was a fun one. I'm glad we got to do this.
Me too, man.
All right. Sign them off, Getter.
Adios.